Hey everyone, this lesson is going to be talking about some of the pests that you're going to see at your market farm. Now I will put a disclaimer in here. We're in zone 4B, so we're quite cold. So there will be different pests depending on which zone you're at. So I'm not going to be able to have all the pests you have, or I might have less, or I might have more than what you have. So you'll have to do some research on your own on this one as you get farming and as you get further into producing different types of veggies at your market farm. So there's a few main pests that we do deal with here at Green Life Farm. So the first one is the cucumber beetle. And this will attack all your squash plants, any melons, as well as your cucumber plants. Now, there's a few things to know about the cucumber beetle. Everyone thinks that the beetle is going to eat your entire plant and that's what kills it. But in fact, in the saliva of the cucumber beetle, they cause a bacteria wilt. And once that gets into your plant, that can actually kill off your plant and stop the production. And that's the main issue to deal with them. So we have a couple of things that we do to exclude the cucumber beetles from our production. So the first thing we do, if we're talking squash or melons, something that's going outside in our field, we will actually put in the early season a frost blanket over, which is a physical barrier to keep the beetles off your plants. Then we'll move to what's called a bug netting, and it's just something that's extremely small but allows a lot more air through, so you won't get that greenhouse effect under and you won't burn your plants off. And again, another physical barrier that will keep the cucumber beetles off your plants. Now, the next thing you do, because your squash plants and your melon plants do have to be pollinated in order to produce the fruit. So when we take these row covers off, we put what's called diatomaceous earth. It's basically a very, very small ground up powder. It is organic certified. It's this silica. It's actually, people who have low silica issues in their body do consume a bit of this with water. So it's not harmful to humans. What we do is we'll put this on our plants, not in the flowers though, because it can harm bees if there is overloads of this on your plants. What this does is that tiny ground up powder gets in between the shell of the cucumber beetle and its more softer tissues and will actually kill off the beetle. It causes small perforations in the beetle. And this will just give you that little bit of starting that the plants are well established and ready to go, that when they're fruiting and when you need the bees in there, the plants are large enough and strong enough that they can withstand the invasion of the beetles. Now, the next thing we do with our cucumber plants, we grow them inside a greenhouse. So that allows us to really modify the temperature, the humidity, all that to really get production pumping for them. Now, what we do for that is at the ends of our greenhouses where they are open, we put a bug netting attached to that, and that keeps the cucumber beetles off our plants throughout the entire season. Now, the variety of cucumber that we go with, they do not have to be pollinated. They will grow the fruit and they will be a seedless fruit. And so it works really well for us. We can keep the beetles out and keep those plants growing much longer without any bug damage. Going forward, another early pest you're going to see, and this is going to hit your brassicas hard. So broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, turnip, rutabaga, all those types of plants are what's called the little flea beetle. They're a small black beetle. They jump really far. They go from plant to plant. They will wipe out a crop if you put it in without any protection. Early in the spring, when we put out our transplants, we cover that with a frost blanket. Again, another physical barrier that keeps these beetles from getting on your plants. Later down the line, when your plants are much larger, and also it's a bit later into the season, you're not in that early spring, the beetles have much less pressure. You've interrupted the life cycle, so that second stage of beetles have not established. You can take that row cover off. You will get some slight damage, but at that point they won't wipe out your crop and you'll be okay. So again, physical barrier for the flea beetles, keeps them off. Furthermore, going even farther, when it talks about soil pests actually in your ground, so something like cutworms. We've noticed the hotter our seasons get, the more cutworms we have. So what we have used now is we've used beneficial nematodes. It's something you can buy usually in your area. We order ours out of Ontario. We just Google a spot online, has great reviews. They deal with organic, basically if you want to call it a pesticide or pest disruption. We order our nematodes from them, and in the early spring when the ground is damp and wet, we spray that on the ground. We've noticed a huge reduction in the amount of cut beetles on our farm, or cutworms on the farm, which is much better because they can destroy a whole row of romaine lettuce. They can get into your bush beans as you're planting them out. They can cause a lot of damage. So something to be aware of. You might have some cutworms to deal with. The nematodes for us, they have, when you look at the website, they do have specific names that help you identify which nematode you need, and they will tell which pest that they deter or kill off. Something, again, relatively cheap and works really well for us here at Green Life Farm. Now, lastly, one of the pests that we deal with quite often, especially in the early years of starting our market farm, is a little cabbage maggot. It's a little yellow worm, and it gets into our carrots underground. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out why we kept getting them on our carrots. Later, I found out that the flies, the adult version of these, actually lay their eggs in compost. They love that dark, moist, warm compost. So we have, in the past few years, not put compost on our carrots, and we have found the damage to be much, much less. So it's something that it's simple to do. Carrots aren't heavy feeders, so they don't mind if the compost was put on the year previous with another crop, and then you put the carrots in the following year with no compost. We found a huge improvement. And that's really the main pest at our farm. We don't have a lot of other issues now. If you still want to go into something further, every once in a while we'll have birds that come into our strawberry patch, but not a huge amount. Now, if you did have a lot of birds coming in, they're wiping things right out, then absolutely get some bird netting, get something to exclude them out of there that still lets the pollinators in, and that'll fix that right up for you. But yeah, keep an eye out for stuff, you know, watch for things, look for things, set out sticky traps. They can be a good identifier to show you what's in the area, what kind of pests you're having, and then you can use that and accordingly to what you want to do to get rid of that pest, or just to limit that pest so you don't have a lot of damage. You want your produce looking good. You don't like a lot of pest damage because customers really, they're used to the grocery stores, they're used to stuff that has chemicals sprayed all on them, so they have that perfect look, that perfect glow. So you really want to try to get to that as much as possible. Make your produce look good. If you have something that's heavily damaged, use it for yourself, your own family, friends that, you know, obviously we know there's nothing wrong with it. It still tastes great, but it's not going to sell and it's going to give you a bad reputation. So do your best to limit the pest pressure. Even ask your local ag extension. They can help you out if they know that, oh, actually in this area we have a high amount of cutworms, we have a high amount of cucumber beetles, we have potato beetles. Whatever it is, they're going to be able to help you out. So look forward, identify, and then as you're going through your farming season or the following seasons, put protection measures in place, and it's just going to be much better. Your quality is going to be better, the look is going to be better, and you'll keep those sales coming in.